Hi, my name is Matt.
And my name is Miles.
And welcome to the Joy of Nerding. What are we doing today, Miles?
We're working on this computer.
Okay, what are we doing to this computer? You don't know? You have no idea? So, what's this unit?
This is I can't really tell.
It's a new CPU.
Ah.
And what's this? As I drop it. What's that?
This looks like RAM.
That is RAM. And what's this?
Some thermal paste.
Some thermal paste.
Why do we need thermal paste?
Because there's an air gap. That's actually a really good question. So, do you see this metal part on top of here?
Yep.
This is a heat spreader. And you need thermal paste in order to fill in microscopic gaps and provide thermal conductivity. And so it helps keep the CPU cooler.
Whereas the CPU would be hotter if that was not there.
Correct. And that is demonstrable. And using a high-quality thermal paste that is not all crusty and old is good. Hence why when I was digging through the parts bin, I found that I had 3, 4, 5 different old tubes of thermal paste. But this is a brand new thing of thermal paste.
Why do you have so much?
Because I've done a lot of CPU stuff. Okay, so yes, now that we found them, we have our thermal material remover, which will get rid of the old stuff, and then the thermal surface purifier. And you use those as a 2-step method to get the...
this comes first and that's second.
That's why this is number 1 and that's number 2. Yes. And we also have toolkits, because you never know when you're going to need toolkits. Yes. We are going to need all different kinds of tools.
So I think we open it up.
Yeah, I think we open it up. So, yep, let's get those out of the way.
And let's get this thing open.
Yep, so you do this. Push, lift,
lift it,
like
and
that.
then we take this off.
Okay. Yep, there we go. Okay. So, monster CPU cooler. This is one of the Noctua ones, DH something or other. I don't recall which. Now, the RAM's underneath here, which makes it kind of tricksy. This is also the enormous video card and the GPU support bracket zip tie, because GPUs are insanely heavy in this day and age. Now, let's make some room for us. This wire can move over here, and I'm trying to unplug as little as possible because you have to remember to plug everything back in, which can be a problem. Yeah, exactly. Now, I think what we do is, in order to get the cooler off, you've got to take the fans off, and the fans pop off like so, which need a screwdriver because of how close the video card is. We may need to pull the video card out. I'm not sure. Screwdriver.
Told you it was black and green.
You are correct, yes. Is black and green. And be careful because the CPU cooler stuff is sharp. Going to use forceps are very useful for things. Oh, now, one of the things, do you remember the protocols about electrostatic discharge? No. So what happens when you pet a kitty and then go do something?
I don't know.
In the wintertime especially. You don't remember? Static shocks. What do static shocks do to electronic components?
I don't know.
They kill them. Alright, video card's got to come out because I can't do this with the video card in the way. There's just not enough space.
Well, we need to clip the zip tie then?
Yep. We will need to clip the zip tie then. Well, probably. We'll see. Maybe, maybe not. Let's hold the horse on that one there. Phillips head screwdriver. Now, one of the things that I'm really old and deal with is I'm used to not using magnetic things around computers because they had magnetic platters. Now, none of this stuff in here is particularly sensitive to magnetism, but that is why blue tack on the end of the screw so that it sticks to the screwdriver so that you can put it into place.
Can I do the next one?
No.
Why not?
Because this one doesn't have blue tack on it and I don't want to lose it. Now, the other thing that we need to be careful of is, and that actually wasn't one of the video card screws. Oh, you can also use these. These are easier. It's a hex driver. One of the other things to realize, remember, etc., is that there's a latch for PCI cards. So you can't just rip the video card out. You are very likely to damage the motherboard if you do that. What you need to do is reach underneath and try and find, see, you can see it right here. You get a flashlight.
Because these lights aren't bright enough.
These lights are not bright enough, not here. Well, so right here you can see this is for the lower one. So there's another one for the upper one that we need to try and get. Pushing it in is easy. It snaps open or snaps closed, right? But that's what this little thing right here is. You got to push it down, and then the card pops, which is what happened. We heard it click, and now we should be able to very carefully pull this out because it is huge and it's getting caught on that wire.
That is a big thing.
That is a big thing. But you know what? We don't need to do the zip tie. We're just going to move this over here. Yep. Then,
I assume that's the.
And that will all be yours one day.
And I assume this is a power converter in here.
What's a power converter?
This.
Oh, that's the power supply. Oh, that was the other thing. I wanted to make sure that this was set to the performance BIOS setting, which I don't remember which one's which. There's two switches, and I have no idea which switch does what. I guess I need to find the manual for it.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Before we put that together, I'm going to have to find the manual for it and figure out where the switches want to be.
I'm going to assume this is the latch that was holding the video card.
You assume correctly, sir. Yep. And when we're talking about drives, this is one NVMe drive. This is another NVMe drive.
I got a nice coin cell. Same thing because they look the same.
They are, but they look the same because they are the same, but that's just because they have the same heat spreader on them. They look the same because they have the same. Sorry, they are the same. I have words. Let's back up. They look the same because they have the same heat spreader on them. But yes, they happen to be the same because they are a RAID mirror setup, right? So I have those as a RAIDed arrangement.
What's this coin cell battery for?
That keeps what used to be called the CMOS or BIOS settings and is now the UEFI settings. Oh, hey, look, there's actually a little baby space here.
For what?
You can put in another NVMe drive, or you could probably put in like a Wi-Fi card or something like that.
But your computer just plugs into Ethernet?
Yeah, I just hardwire mine. So what I'm doing here is, can you go see what she's barking at? Maybe let her out.
It was nothing.
It was nothing. Of course it was nothing.
Because she loves to bark at nothing.
Okay, friends. The dog is now put out, and I looked up what the switches on this guy do. This turns the LEDs on and off, and this is which you can't see. And this over here is performance versus, sorry, this is LEDs, this is performance versus regular. I have it in performance overclocked mode, which caused some issues, but you can see another video for that one. So Miles,
yes.
I've loosened these screws, which means we should be able to take this off.
Without cutting ourselves.
Without cutting ourselves, yes. You have to be very careful. These are very sharp, finned things. And you also, they're kind of delicate, so you want to be careful of that. I
think you need to take the screws out.
Well, I don't. No, they're captured screws. They were just not quite. One's free now. And now the other one's free. All right. And see, so this
is the
CPU cooling unit, and this is the old goop. See? And you can see it on the CPU side of it. And this is why you want to be very careful. That also allows us to have access to the RAM. So.
Oh, you have like 4 things of RAM.
Yeah, which is why I had to get 4 more things of RAM.
Oh, how big are these?
They are that long.
No, I mean like how much RAM's in them.
Do you think I knew that? Do you think I'm just busting your chops?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Did I answer your question or did I just make fun of you?
You actually answered my question. No, you didn't.
I didn't. So how much were these? Oh, yeah, that's right, because I didn't answer it. These are 16. So 16, 32, 64, right.
How much are the ones that we're putting in? 32 each?
These are 32 each, right.
We'll have 128 gigs.
Right. And now what's going to happen with these old ones?
I believe I get them for my PC.
No, you get half of them for your PC.
Yes, I get some of them.
The other half is going in a house server for video. Right, it's a house video.
All right, for the surveillance.
Surveillance video. Thank you. That's the word I was looking for. Now, do you remember how these RAM chips go in and out?
No.
Like the PCI.
And I assume these are clips?
Yep, these are clips. So you've got to... what I find is easiest to do is you just kind of go down. Oh, and I'm not saying easy. I'm saying easier. I'm going to get my little forceps here.
I could try.
You want to try?
Yeah.
All you have to do is pop them away. And for some reason that... Oh, wait a minute. Those don't pop.
These don't have a hinge, Dad.
Yeah, they're only hinged on the one side. That's why I can't move them.
Yeah, Dad.
All right, so pop, 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 pop. You want to pull them out? You got to rock them out from... You can't pull them out straight. You got to rock them out from that end with the hinge on them. Like this.
Yep. Alrighty, and let's pull these out.
Yep. Now, you should try and be careful. Don't touch this. You want to avoid getting your oils on these contacts. I never realized this. There's a wave to these. They're not quite straight. Now, these have heat spreaders on them, which also protects the chips a little bit, which is nice. You want to... Yep, got that. Now, I have a question. We were actually talking about this morning at breakfast.
Yes.
When we look at these, do you see a difference between these two and these two?
Yeah, these two are black, these two are gray.
And why do you think that is?
Oh, no.
Because they are two separate channels of RAM. So you install them in pairs. So if you wanted, say, 16 gigs, you put 2 8s here. Put them here and here, probably won't work. I think there is a thing about you can use the first channel on this unit if all you have is one stick, but really for maximum bandwidth you want to do a pair and then another pair, and if you spread that amongst 4 chips, you're good to go.
What if you want, like, say 24 gigs of RAM, so you put in 3 8s? Where would you put the third one?
I don't know if that would work. We'd have to consult the manual. I looked up the manual to make sure that this RAM was validated for this board in this size, and that's the maximum it's supposed to be able to do. Now, rather than put in the new RAM, we're going to clean off this. And the reason we're going to clean this off first and then swap the CPU is CPUs are very delicate, and what we want to do is not damage the underside. We also don't want to use too much of this. So it says saturate the thermal pad or compound with several drops, then wait 30 to 60 seconds, gently wipe to completely remove thermal material, repeat if necessary, then always use ArctiClean 2 thermal surface purifier after using this product. Now technically, in the old days, we used to just wipe it off with alcohol. Use ArctiClean 1 thermal material remover to remove any thermal pad or compound prior to using this product. Repeat if necessary. Apply several drops to the thermal mating surface and wipe gently with a lint-free cloth to dry. So we're going to do this in 2 steps. We're going to do this.
Yeah.
Well, and when I say in 2 steps, it's because I should shake it. When I say in 2 steps, it's because you're going to do this one. Okay? And so I'm going to do this. There we go. I was like, why is it not dripping out? There we go.
And I assume there's no electricity running through this because it's unplugged.
There is not. Oh, and we started to talk about electrostatic discharge. You don't want this to run off. That's the key. You don't want to put so much on there that it runs off. I'm letting it kind of spread out and I'm watching it. And we also want
Paper towel.
Paper towel.
I'll go get one for myself.
Okay.
Oh, no. Yeah,
so we were talking about electrostatic discharge when the dog started barking, right?
Yes, I believe so.
Right. So now we have the humidifier running, so it's not horrible at this point. It's not horribly dry. And what really causes that is the same thing that causes lightning, which is
Static electricity.
static electricity. What really is the technical definition of static electricity?
I'm not entirely sure.
It's when there is a potential difference between two objects or regions or whatever, right?
Yes, because we did talk about that in science class, but we didn't talk about the technical definition.
Okay. So do you remember? You know what potential difference is?
No.
It's basically voltage. So that's why you have the electrical grid works, because the voltage is different between the two legs, between the positive and negative. Now it's AC, and AC is a little different because it's constantly switching, and we're not going to go into AC versus DC things right now.
Yep. I do have one. Did you answer my question about why this battery's here?
Oh, I thought I did. It used to be called the CMOS or the BIOS battery. Now it holds what is called the UEFI settings. It keeps the settings on your computer at a very, very, very low level, even before you get to the operating system, etc. I'm going to do a second application of this because there's still a little bit of this thermal pad material on there. And I'm going to just give this instead of drips, I'm just going to go like this.
Could you apply some to this section too?
I can, but I was thinking maybe we want to get that on camera. What do you think?
Yeah.
Yeah, so let's give that a little bit.
Oh yeah, so we do that.
So as we're waiting for this to work, how do you make sure that there's no potential difference between you and the thing you're working on, thus resulting in a zappy zap to sensitive circuits? Do you remember?
No.
What's my hand doing right now?
Touching it.
Touch the metal case. Whenever you lean in, touch the metal case first. Because that way there's no difference between you and the circuits.
So like if I were to go like this, I'd want to do that first?
Yep.
So that way if you wouldn't zap something, you zap the metal case instead of something on the motherboard or something important.
Correct. Now the metal case is not grounded, so you're still going to have a potential difference of you versus ground, right? But we don't care. We care about you versus the case. When I worked in a manufacturing facility, they actually had grounded mats. So you would be working on a metal workbench, and the mat would be connected to ground. The metal workbench would be grounded because it would be connected to that, and you'd have a wrist strap with a little slinky cord, and you'd do that. Okay, so
And you'd just be like...
So this is what is called a ZIF socket. Now we're going to clean this again before we put new stuff on it. I just wanted to get that off so it's not all goopy on us. This is what's called a ZIF socket. Do you know what a ZIF socket is?
No.
It stands for zero insertion force, because you don't push it in. There's a little lever, and you go like this, and it opens it up. And this is a socket AM4, and we take this out very carefully. Now, this...
Is the CPU?
Do you see? There's a whole lot of little teeny pins.
Yes, that's a lot of pins.
Yes, and if you
Looks
break...
kind of like a teeny wheat field.
Yes, it looks like a teeny wheat field. If you break even one of those pins, this is all over.
It's useless.
It is not useful at all. Now, what you're seeing here, this metal piece, is actually this is a heat spreader that they put on top of it, and it also is nice to protect things. Back in the day, the CPUs were a lot more fragile, but really you've always had to worry about the pins. That's always been an issue. I'm just getting some of this heat compound went over the side. Sorry, what are you saying?
Does the orientation that the CPU goes in matter?
Yes, there is a pin 1. That is a very good question. We'll get to that when we get to installing it. I just wanted to get the sides, and I got a little bit of this heat sink compound on the sides. Now this I always use, always use electrically non-conductive thermal compound. And the reason is because in case you do something like I just did where I get my thumbprint on it, I don't want that to be getting on anything else.
Because
right?
then zappy zap.
Because, yeah, well, it would cause an electrical short, and that would be bad. Yeah. Other thing, high proof, like I said before, we used high alcohol concentration, rubbing alcohol to get stuff off, which is actually probably what that thermal cleaner is. I got some to try it, And I don't know that it's actually any better than just plain alcohol. For all I know, it is plain alcohol. Why do we use rubbing alcohol, isopropyl alcohol, in a very high concentration? Do you remember?
No.
No.
There's a lot of stuff I don't remember.
There's a lot of stuff you don't remember because it evaporates quickly.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so you just wait a few minutes, go get a cup of coffee, and it'll all evaporate. Evaporates way faster than water.
I think now maybe we should bend this over here and rub this one.
No, I want to get that CPU in its new home, which means this CPU needs to go in its new home. So that is a...
That CPU's current temporary home is going to be in that box.
Right. So that is a Ryzen 3700X, which is a... there we go. Which way's up? There we go. Ryzen 3700X, which is a 65 watt, 8 core, 16 thread. I forget what speed it runs at. I think it's about 3.4 gigahertz CPU.
Mm-hmm. And just don't break any one of the pieces of wheat on it.
Don't break the pieces of wheat.
AKA the pins.
Uh-huh. And this is a Ryzen 5950X, which is...
basically a better version of that.
Well, it's a 105 watt CPU that runs at, I believe, 3.1 gigahertz. So it's a little slower, but it's got 16 cores and 32 threads.
So that one's better, ultimately?
Ultimately, this will give me better throughput for doing video. Now, if you look, all of these are notched out in different ways, except this one.
Yes.
See, these are all triangles. This is a square. That is pin 1, and you can tell because there's a little gold triangle here. So the way you put this in is you very gently do that and just until it drops in. Would you like to do the honors and close the little bar while I am putting this in its safety spot? Just push it down and push it down until it snaps. Should be good. It's not going anywhere. That's it. It should take no force. It's zero insertion force. And then we very carefully put this back in here.
Yep.
Actually, I'm going to do it like this.
It took a very, very tiny amount of force due to the fact that there's a spring in there.
There is a spring in there. And then there's this... there's this sticker, which... did I ever bother to put the Ryzen 7 sticker on there, on the front? What does it going to say? Yeah, I did. That's the Ryzen 7 sticker. So I'm going to have to peel that off and put this Ryzen 9 sticker on it.
I can peel the Ryzen 7 sticker
you can
off
do that?
now.
Okay, that's fine. And then, so that CPU is going to live in that safe place for a while.
Yep.
And then we're going to do...
where should I put the Ryzen 7 sticker?
You can throw that out unless you think you can re-stick it on the computer you're going to get. So the next thing we're going to do is the RAM, not the heatsink. Heatsink goes on last because it blocks the RAM, right?
Yes, do we want to add the Ryzen 9 sticker?
Yeah, but not right now. We'll do that afterwards.
Okay.
Here. So be very careful. Open it up. Don't drop it. Now, one of the things that this is Corsair Vengeance DDR4 3200 megahertz. And it is also low profile so that it won't get in the way of the enormous heatsink.
I have one of the sticks of RAM
Good.
now.
So,
which way does it go? Like this?
So it's keyed. So here, if you look, I want to show the people, there's a little notch here. You got to line that notch up with the hole. You can't put it in backwards. And yep, you put it in like that, and then you rock it down into place.
So it goes, so you put it in like that?
Yep, don't force it. You got to make sure that it's in.
Yep, and then...
No. So hold on. This is a kind of by feel thing. You want to make sure your latch is up. You put this in like this, and then you...
I don't like the sound of that.
Hang on. That's because it's not quite in. There we go. So you push in, I push in the latchy side first, then the non-latchy side.
So,
Now, actually, let's do this.
put them in from the back to
Put
the front.
them in from the back to the front.
So, like...
Because there's a big honking
So you
cable
put
there.
this-
No,
No.
you put, yep, like that. You put the fixed end in first, and then you put the other one in.
Which that's not going to want to go in.
There's a spring there, so you do have to pull it a little bit like this, and then there you go. Now push it in until it clicks.
I didn't hear a click.
That's because it didn't click.
There, yep, that's on.
Yep.
Rams in.
And then you gotta push down this end. Yep. You got it. Yep. I was just
where's
checking.
The others? Where's
I put it on top of the
yep.
video card.
And so this one's gonna go in like. Wait, that's the clicked way?
Uh-huh.
And it goes in like. That's off. But fortunately, you can just rock it out.
Yeah.
And it goes in like. What is going on?
It's brand new, and so it's a brand new RAM chip, and the board has only had like one set of RAM put in it ever, and so it's...
This one seems a bit long for some reason. Oh, never mind. I think you got it.
Yep. You just, like I said, there's a little springy arrangement there. Yep. Push down. Yep. And now push down on the back, because it's still sitting up a little bit. There you go. Click, click.
Mm-hmm.
2 clicks.
This one I had to push in and manually do the latch on.
Yeah. You shouldn't have needed to. My guess is if you'd have just pushed down a little bit more. I know I told you not to force it, but there's one of those... There's the right amount of force that you need, and then there's forcing it so that things break. And you want the right amount of force. There you go. Click.
I'm just going to double check that one... Yep, they're all
Yep.
in.
They're all good.
And now the
Next.
final chip of RAM.
And we also check these with mem test, like we're doing with your brother's laptop, because we got 16 gigs of RAM for that one. But that's another story. Push. There we go. All right, I'm going to double check that. Great,
I
great,
believe
great.
that's all your RAM installed.
You are correct. Okay, so now
You have
let's...
30 now we just doubled your RAM.
Yep. Can you hold this? Okay. And I'm going to move this. Oh, this is a hernia. That's what this is. I should rename this hernia box, not blue box. There. Okay, so now thermal material remover.
How many squirts?
Soak it.
So like, can you do? I
Okay.
can't get the box.
Yep. You gotta go like this. And then you gotta wait 30 seconds. You just didn't notice it because I was talking. This you can be a little less precise on because you're not going to worry about the board. Now, let's be clear here. That CPU has never had a thermal pad attached to it, so I don't know that it needs to be cleaned. That, we're going to use the cleaner and the purifier, and then when we go to do that one, because that had, when we go to build your machine, because that other CPU has had thermal compound on it, we're going to clean it again, and then we'll use that thermal purifier on it.
It's probably been 30 seconds by now.
Okay, so hit it, kid. Oh, I'm trying to cut this open. It has a little... usage instructions on reverse. Getting out our little syringe here. Ah. And what's this? Oh, it comes with some little thermal pads. Look at that. If there are any residues from previous installations, clean them off first. Thanks to its excellent properties, there's no need to, excellent spreading properties, there's no need to manually spread NTH2 before installing the cooler. Simply apply a small dot onto the CPU, multiple dots for larger ones, see details, and put on the heatsink and you're ready to go. Use a dry paper towel or tissue to wipe off, then moisten a paper towel or tissue with a few drops of water to wipe clean. Isopropyl alcohol and cleaning wipes can be used but are not necessary. So that actually comes with cleaning wipes.
I think that's right.
No, I think it's still pretty gross. I think you need to get a clean paper towel. You could also try one of their wipes.
I'm gonna try one of theirs.
And those are just alcohol wipes, which comes back to, I don't know that I'll ever buy this Arctic Clean again. I think I'm just going to go back to using alcohol and paper towels.
Try to get this off the edge, too.
Yeah. Now, that is actually the same stuff that was on there before. Yeah, you want to get all that.
I say that's clean.
I think it's close to it. Why don't you throw out that wipe? Because that's pretty much at it. I am putting this RAM in the box. If it'll actually fit in the box. It should fit in the box. There we go.
Same size.
It's the same size. So we want to let that dry for a little bit. Now, why don't you take some of that purifying compound, go get another clean paper towel.
I was actually thinking.
Oh, I want to get here. Where's my spray? Here's my spray.
Dad, I was actually thinking I'd take the 2 sticks of RAM that are in that box and put them up in my room with the rest of the computer stuff.
I was thinking that too. I'm just putting them. They're going to go to the projects for which they are earmarked. There we go. There was a little bit more on this lip that I wanted to get off.
So can I put this upstairs?
If you want to run that upstairs, you may. Okay, so this is nice and clean on that surface, but it's pretty dirty on that surface. So we're going to fix that. So Miles, we did clean out the thermal pad.
Oh, yes, we'll need to blow this.
Exactly. That's what I'm thinking. So I've got my turbo duster here. Oops.
Can I use the turbo duster?
You may use the turbo duster.
Yay.
Now, the key is you don't want to blow things into, see the famed turbo duster, you do not want to blow the dirt further in. You want to blow it out. Now, that gets kind of tricky because, you kind of got to get to this side. But we're going to do that and have at it from this side, and we should see a bunch of the stuff go out. And you just want to go like this.
How do we turn it?
You press and hold the bottom button. And it makes a horrible noise. You can let go now. Yeah. Keep going. Yes. You gotta get here. Yeah.
I'm gonna go down and see. I still got
Okay, so this is now substantially better. There's still a little bit of dust. Let's hit this again.
There's one thing you might know.
What?
Turn off the turbo duster to make it easier to hear me. Can you turn that off so I can speak?
Yes.
Can I see?
Yes.
Look, this makes the air go like this. If we
Yep.
were to flip it around, then the air would go like shh.
It would, but why do we care? I think we're good. He was saying that this is notched out, but I think we're good. All right, so let's put the
Things back together, I think.
yeah. Let's put stuff back up. Let's clean up our garbage.
You really blew dust around.
I really did blow dust around. Okay, we're finished with this. We're finished with that. Going to put this over here. Going to put that over here. So now this tells us what we're supposed to do. Here. Make sure that doesn't fall. I'm going to put the computer back up here.
Alrighty.
Oh, living with a hernia.
This is my solution to make sure that it doesn't fall, and you set that on that box.
Yep. I set that on that box, but everything else seems okay.
So, I think
And we got to be able to, the people need to be able to see what we're doing. There we
I
go.
guess I'm going to need to put this over
Yep.
here now.
Okay, so now, these are what the instructions say. Right? Okay. So this is a mid-size CPU. This is a socket AM4. It even actually says it here. It's hard to read, but it's molten into plastic. So 4 dots with 2 millimeters diameter near the corners, plus 1 dot with 3 to 4 millimeters diameter in the center. So this is our thermal paste. So we do a dot and another dot. It's a little goopy. And you don't worry about the draglies very much. And then a bigger dot in the center. And that should be it. I'm going to run a stress test on it once it's in, and we will get an idea as to what the heat performance is. I've had very good impressions of this cooler. It's not cheap, but I've used it. This is the second CPU it's on,
screw.
and it's really quiet. Yes, this is a captured
Spring screw.
Spring nut screw thing. Oh, right. We also wanted a few drops of this thermal purifier now that this is all clean. So let's put this here, kind of off camera. Apply several drops and wipe gently with a lint-free surface. I have no idea what this does, and I'm not even sure it's worth it. But I have it. So rub it around.
So he just made a little like a...
Yep, I just made a little kind of Superman shape.
Yep, like Superman's S.
Now, as tempting as it is, and there's a few things in life, trying to get any dust off. There's a few things in life that this applies to. As much as you want to put it on and take it off and then put it back on again, that doesn't give you the optimum spread, right? It's kind of
spreads, put it on once.
Yeah, really you want to just kind of do it right the first time, or you need to strip it all down and try again. There've been people that do all kinds of exhaustive research as to how you should spread this for really good cooling and so forth. But really you want to plunk it down and get it right.
I'm gonna assume the stuff that you just put on was the stuff we wiped off a few minutes ago.
Yep. And so I did it the same way, and if you look at the pull-off, it was actually pretty good. It was relatively uniformly spread, etc. So the key with tightening these down is to go slowly and evenly, because you want to put even pressure on the CPU for optimum spreading. There's only two. It kind of doesn't matter which one you start with. One of the things to realize is that this applies to some other things in life, like gasket materials on cars. If you use too much gasket material, it won't work well. Same thing with the heatsink compound. If you use too little, it won't work well. Same thing with the heatsink compound. And as much as you want to make the gasket, put the oil pan on, and then pull it off to see how it looks, if you do that, it destroys the gasket, and you got to do it all over again. So fundamentally, you never actually know. Not really.
How well it did.
Yep. Okay, and this, I've screwed this on until it is tight.
You still living with the hernia from picking that up?
Yep. Okay, so this looks good. I just want to have a quick look. I mean, you can't really see anything. Back in the day, we used to look to see if anything was squished out or something like that.
That popped off.
Yeah, why are you doing things that make noise and distractions?
I have no idea why that popped off.
Because you were messing with it. Don't mess with it.
I was just looking at it.
My mom used to say, you look with your eyes, not with your hands. All right, so this has two CPU fans. It came with two, so I figured might as well use both of them.
I assume one goes in between and the other goes on this side.
You assume correctly. Now, the key there is, though, they have a direction. Usually there's an arrow. Is the arrow on the bottom? Yeah, the arrow's on the bottom. So this blows this way, and I fitted it this way because I had this crazy idea that if these fans are blowing out, which they are, we should have this blow this way.
This fan blows this way, which this fan then blows this way, which these fans then take in that air and blow it out the back.
Precisely.
Because I know you.
Uh-huh. All right, and we want this kind of centered vertically. At least that was also the theory. That's a little too high.
What's this button for?
Taking the front panel off, in case you ever want to do that, which I've had to do occasionally when building things.
Does the other side come off?
Yes, that's how you get the motherboard in and out.
Huh.
No, you can get the motherboard in and out from this. Oh, it's just easier to get the motherboard in and out because you can take the whole thing off and you don't have to reach down through here.
No, because you'll just end up taking the motherboard out with it.
Yeah.
But that one's the best one to take off because there's nothing actually attached to it.
Correct.
How do you remember which side's which?
Which side of what, sir?
The computer's which one? Like which one has the motherboard?
Oh, because the one that doesn't have the motherboard has that nice latch, that black latch we lifted up. The one with the motherboard just has a couple of screws.
Oh, so you need to unscrew it.
Mm-hmm. All right, and this, again, blows this way.
Yes.
Yes, now, this cable
Is in the way.
is a little bit in the way, and it's not going to be permanently in the way. Oh, thank you. It's not going to permanently be in the way because it can go around in back of that fan, which technically obstructs airflow, but this is an enormous fan that I have hooked the wrong way here. There we go. This is an enormous fan.
And this is an enormous cable.
Yeah, well...
So what's the point of these things?
Because some things need 6-pin connectors and some things need 8-pin connectors, and that allows you to have it as an option. Oh, sorry, I guess that's 8 and 10? Is it 6 and 8 or 8 and 10?
It's 6 and 8.
Okay. I was looking for my forceps.
Because you can just do this and now it's an 8-pin, but you could do that and now it's a 6-pin. I assume if you take the two portion off the 6-pin, it still functions as an independent 2-pin.
I don't know. I don't think you're supposed to use it like that, actually. Okay, so I had to move that cable out of the way, and we're good. And then this is basically sitting right on top of the RAM. But again, that shouldn't be a problem. Yep, okay. This fan sits a little bit taller than the other fan because it's literally right on top of the RAM. The cooler clears, but the fan doesn't really clear. But the cable is good. Yeah, everything's a little tight in here. There's a little bit of dust on the fan. I'm not going to worry about that. This is frighteningly clean. There's no filter on this, but it moves so little air through it that it's actually really clean for a house with all the pets that we have.
How many of these 8-pin connectors did your old video card take?
I don't remember.
I think you said it took one when we installed this new one.
I think it might have. This is a new power supply, and I also have a bunch of adapters which adapt the drive cable connectors to the 8-pin type that you need. Does that make sense?
Yep, changing out the CPU and the RAM, was that all we were doing with this?
I think so. So I think we're at I did want to check that the video card switches were in the right place, and they are. So, the screw, that was this one.
The blue tack one.
Yeah, the blue tack one actually goes
in there.
In this one. Now, we need to make sure when we put things back that our cable management is good. Most of this is nicely out of the way, like this. There's a fan connector here that goes kind of in back of the video card. And that is that a fan? Yeah. So there's a fan. One of these case fans plugs in there, and the other one goes down here. But this cable is nice and long, so we're able to route it out of the way.
Use blue tack on your screws.
Yep. Well, that way they're not magnetic. And we got to make sure this is down, make sure we didn't accidentally hit it. And then we fit the enormous video card back in here. And really, you got to line it up. And that sounded bad, but that was just me hitting
these things.
Those things. Yep, you got to line it up and then you press it in and be quiet. We're going to listen for the click. That was the click.
Sounds like a click.
Yep, that was the PCIe by 16 clicking in. And now
should I plug these back in?
If you wish.
Does it matter which 8-pin goes into which slot?
Only for cable management. It doesn't matter for power.
So I'm going to assume they go in like this way?
You want it to be nicely routed and tidy. not just because of aesthetics, which I don't really care about aesthetics in this case because it's got a solid sides. I mean, the case is from 2000. So let's see. I was in my apartment just after college. So we're probably talking around, but I had a big boy job. At least I think I had a big boy job. So I think this was around, it was either between 2001 or to 2003, because I only think I had a big boy job. I'm not certain. I might have still been in college when I built this. But I built this
I assume
computer.
This is how you want them for cable management?
Yeah, that should be all right. I built this computer, and it was using an Athlon MP. It was my first dual core system.
What's a dual core system?
It's when you have multiple CPUs, and back then they were on multiple packages.
Where's the other CPU? Does this one still have multiple CPUs? Or?
So the thing is that what they started doing is putting multiple CPUs on the same die. See, when you talk about this, let's get this out. This is referred to as the CPU, but there may be multiple cores in each one, and so what this one has, this is the 3700X. The CPU has cores that actually do processing and things like that, and then it also has really fast local RAM called cache, etc. This one has 8 cores, and I think they're in the center. Back in the day, you'd have something this size that would have 1 core. And then, so in order to have a multi-processor system, you'd have 2. So I had 2 of them, and I had 2 fans, 2...
Can I take out the sticker to put it on here?
If you want to put on the sticker, you may. And I'm just going to double check that this is all plugged in right. This is held in right. This is reasonably solid. So we are in good shape.
Yes.
So I'm going to flip the camera.
Oh, to the other one?
To the other one. And I'm going to get a sip. You're going to put on the sticker.
Now I need to take it up and move it over because it's not centered under the power button.
Oh, dude.
What?
You had one shot at this.
Not true.
Yeah, I don't think you can do it with multiple ones. So CPU upgrade complete because sticker.
Want a bet?
Okay. Whoops. One thing I don't like is this is now pinched. This many-colored cable is now pinched.
The Pizza Boy cable.
The Pizza Boy cable. I like that. It's very Italian. Okay, hang on. It's not so much pinched as it is behind, I think.
Yeah, I think it's just behind.
I think it's just behind.
That is CPU upgrade and RAM upgrades.
Hold on. I don't like it. I do not like it. I'm going to pull it out. And then I'm going to do this. And then I'm going to put it back. Like so. Oh, that's the USB. That's the USB. That's the low-speed USB front cable. I think. It's plugged into the thing that says USB. And I think it's the low-speed USB doodle that I added.
I'm just bringing over
these up. So I'm going to leave that there. The SATA drive connectors are annoyingly behind the video card, but that's okay. Everybody probably couldn't see anything because my head was in the way because I needed to see. All right, there we go. Now put it on.
I believe this way is correct.
Yep, and now push it in. And there we go. And then this is...
Upgrade complete.
That got a little...
Oh yeah, there are just these screws here, which I think technically you can unscrew with your thumb.
That's why they're called thumb screws.
And also, why are there screw holes here?
Because you can put screws there if you want to.
Oh, but you just don't.
Correct. All right, so next steps are going to be, we've got to run memtest86 and stress on here to make sure that it doesn't get too hot and or stays within normal parameters, right?
Yep.
And also I want to run memtest86 first to make sure that the RAM is still good in case I need to return it. I don't know that I've actually ever had a bad RAM that is from a new purchase. It's been stuff that's been pulled out of salvage or whatever, but it's still my process and I still always do it. Yep. Does that make sense? And then the other thing is there is on the back here, right here, there is an optical out, and I was messing around last night, and I found out that the optical out now works. The driver is now supported on Linux. So I'm going to hook that up to my stereo, because the stereo has an optical in, which means I won't need to run these as analog ones. Simplifies my wiring from 3 cables down to 1. And also should give me a little bit cleaner signal, but I haven't really had a problem with that from the analog stuff. So that's next steps. I'm not going to video those things because it's in my cramped office, and that's hard to actually get a good camera angle on that.
Yeah.
Which means it's time for recommendations. Okay, Miles, you're our guest. Tell the nice people what you recommend.
So today I bring a movie recommendation of Indiana Jones.
Now, why'd you pick Indiana Jones?
Because it's a really good franchise. If you like Star Wars, you're very likely to like Indiana Jones, because Han Solo is actually Indiana Jones.
Okay.
It's the same actor.
Right.
And ultimately, there are good moments. It's funny. There are some epic moments, and it's just a really good movie series.
Okay. What is your favorite Indiana Jones movie? Because they've done 5 now.
Yeah. That's hard. I think my favorite's probably the third one.
Third one? Which was?
Last Crusade.
Okay, and why is that your favorite?
Because basically the Nazis are trying, and Indiana Jones is trying to do, what's he trying to do?
What's he trying to do? You don't even remember.
I forget.
He's trying to get the Holy Grail.
Yeah, he's trying to get that's the Holy Grail one. Right, he's trying to get the Holy Grail one, but the Nazis are trying to get the Holy Grail, and he has to get the Holy Grail before the Nazis get the Holy Grail.
Right, but isn't that kind of the same as he's supposed to, in the first one, he's got to get the Ark of the Covenant before the Nazis, and in the fourth one, he's got to get the Crystal Skull before the Communists, and then the fifth one, they're trying to get the Antikythera device or whatever it is.
The compass thing.
The compass thing. But they were going to use it to travel through time, except it doesn't actually, it only takes you to one place. I thought that one was pretty clever.
Yeah.
It's like a bad GM sort of thing, where it's like, haha, your gift is actually a curse. Nah.
Yeah, personally, what I think is the order from my favorites to my least favorites are probably the third one, then the first one, then probably the fifth one, then the fourth one because it's a little creepy, and then the second one because it's just downright weird.
Yeah. The second one being Temple of Doom?
Yes.
But since we've watched Temple of Doom now, we saved that until they got a little bit older because Temple of Doom can be a little scary. You get my short round references.
Yes, I get your short round.
And you know that when I ask you to do chores, it could always be worse because you could be like whipped into mine.
Yep.
True.
Love you.
I love you too, buddy. Hey, I want to thank you for your help today, okay? Did you have a good time?
Yeah.
Now, you've remembered all this because when it comes to build your machine, we've got to do even more than this.
Yep. Because this was just changing some stuff. We need to actually build something from the ground up.
So, are you going to let me help you build your PC, or do you want to do it all by yourself?
I'd like you to help me.
Okay, I think it'd be a lot of fun.
Because it's my first time building a PC.
Mm-hmm. I think I was actually younger than you when I started building PCs.
Did you do it with your father, or did you start alone?
No, I did it by myself. Our first PC we got in 1988, so maybe I wasn't quite as... Maybe I was about your age. All right. Anyway, thank you all for watching us work on this project today, and as always, stay nerdy.